If something cannot go on forever, it will stop. It's Thursday, December 19th, 2019. I'm almost speechless with what I'm watching take place politically right here in America. And I must tell you, it is very worrisome with the direction that the United States of America is heading. What we've been watching take place with our politicians, the divide that is taking place, this is an extremely dangerous time in America, and I believe it's going to get much more dangerous. We have a group of politicians that have created an enormous wound here in America that may never heal. It's horrifying to see how our Constitution is being torn apart, disrespected, and just being trampled by politicians. America right now is severely injured, and you must know this. Take a look at what is happening to your country and the amount of betrayal that is taking place. Again, America is being torn apart at the seams. I believe 2020 is going to be a very dangerous year for America. It's going to be a very dark year. And I believe that every one of us must be preparing. If you're one of these people that just hopes nothing bad is going to happen, that believes that nothing can happen to the good old United States of America, if you're one of these people who believes in doing nothing, I guarantee you, by doing nothing, you will fail. The people who are going to succeed, the people who prosper, and the people who are going to survive the dark times are the people who are prepared. I want to talk a little bit on today's video some of the things I believe are going to expedite America going into very dark times. And the biggest threat to America is debt. We have too many people in America going broke, trying to look rich. Let me repeat that. People here in America are going broke because they're trying to look rich. I'm going to give you an example of that. This article came out in Zero Hedge yesterday. SoCal millennials are piling on more credit card debt, or excuse me, the most credit card debt. So it's kind of the moral of the story is don't believe everything you see. I lived in Orange County, California for many, many years. And there is a lot of serious wealth in the beach cities of Southern Orange County. There's no doubt about it. But there are a lot of people that flock to Orange County and they go broke trying to look rich. And how do they do that? Well, they go out and they lease a Mercedes, they lease a BMW, they lease a Lexus. They're racking up credit card debt, using it to pay for their $2,500 or $3,000 a month apartment. They're going shopping at South Coast Plaza or Fashion Island, buying up every brand of shoes humanly possible. Wow, many of these people are making minimum wage or making 30, 40 grand a year, having a $3,000 a month apartment. So what they do is they'll have multiple roommates, multiple credit cards, and they're racking up massive amounts of debt. So the cars, the expensive coffees, the jewelry, the clothes, the rent, all of this is debt. And so when you see somebody driving that Mercedes, that Lexus, that BMW, here's some numbers, and these are national numbers, and I guarantee you these numbers would be much higher in Southern California. But when we look at Mercedes automobiles, 60% nationwide, 67% of these cars are leased. I would gather that's probably in the 80 percentile in Southern California. When we look at BMWs nationally, 77% of all BMWs are leased. Land Rovers, 69%. So again, the moral of the story is don't believe everything you see. A lot of people put on this persona that they have something, but so many people renting those expensive apartments and condos, maybe living in that nice house, driving that Land Rover, that Mercedes or BMW, Many of these people have zero money saved up. They are living paycheck to paycheck. In fact, they're going into the red every month. More money going out than coming in just to put on this front, to look rich, to impress people they don't even know, to impress people they don't even like, to impress you and I on Facebook. This is how ridiculous things are getting here in America. And when this economy collapses, these people leasing these cars, running up credit cards for jewelry and shoes and handbags, these people are going to be in massive trouble. You do not want to be one of these people, okay? Do not be one of these fake individuals, because unfortunately, these people are no longer going to be posting on social media when the collapse happens, okay? Because the Mercedes is gone, the BMW is gone, the credit cards have been shut down. These people right here that you see on social media, on Facebook, showing off what they had to drink last night, or what they had to eat, or how big the prawns were in the shrimp cocktail at Morton's, these people will be obliterated. They will be too embarrassed to ever show their face again on social media, because they've been living in this fake bubble. This bubble of impressing people they don't even know, while acquiring massive amounts of credit card debt, auto debt. It just blows my mind what we've become here in America. This narcissistic, hedonistic type of thinking that is going to land up getting so many people in big trouble. And if you're one of these people, you need to straighten up your act right now. You got to get your debt under control. You got to stop worrying about impressing people you don't know. It doesn't matter. When you go into an economic collapse, your BMW, your Lexus, your Mercedes, it doesn't matter. You do not want to be taking debt into a collapse. Nobody's going to care what kind of shoes you wear, what kind of car you drive, or what your zip code is. All that matters is, can you survive when this collapse hits America? Can you survive it? None of this garbage matters. Are you your own asset? Are you an asset? Do you have a trade, a skill? Do you know how to operate a firearm? How much debt do you have? I mean, these are things you need to think about. What kind of preparations do you have as far as food and water? Security. Can you protect yourself and your family? These are the things we really better start thinking about. Not what type of handbag you have, what brand of shoes you have. Look, nice things are great. There's no doubt about it. But if you need a credit card to buy this stuff, you are a fool, okay? If you need to take a credit card to go into a jewelry store or to go buy a watch, you are out of your mind. You are asking for big trouble. This is not the time to be playing Russian roulette with your money, okay, with your future. And these people are playing Russian roulette. They have no understanding of what is coming. And these are the people who are going to be taken by surprise. They are going to be floating in an ocean without an oar. They're in big trouble. You do not want to be one of these people. This is the herd. This is the masses. You need to detach right now, and you need to make the right choice. Article on shtfplan.com today. This kind of reinforces a little bit about what I just said. The government keeps telling us that the labor market is strong and unemployment is low. Then why are borrowers increasingly being rejected for vehicle loans? Why also is consumer debt rising if this economy is so good? As most of you know, 7 million plus people are now severely delinquent on their auto loans. Now we have an uptick with people being rejected for auto loans. Consumer debt rising to all-time highs. The Federal Reserve Bank of New York survey of consumer credit released on Monday showed a spike in the rate of auto loan rejections to 8.1% in October from 4.5% in the same month last year. That means that auto loan rejections have about doubled from last October to this October. Here's another real scary sign right here. Federal budget deficit already 12% ahead of last year. This, my friends, is unsustainable. Wolfstreet.com. Let me go through this article. 4 banks and 3 tech companies blow $56 billion in the third quarter to prop up their own shares. Again, things are so fake today, whether it's somebody faking that they're rich, or these companies faking how healthy they are financially. Companies in the S&P 500 bought back $176 billion of their own shares in the third quarter of 2019. And that's actually down 13.7% from the third quarter of last year. These companies have bought back $4.37 trillion. Let me repeat. These companies on the S&P 500 have bought back $4.37 trillion of their own shares since 2012. Yet, your friends are telling you that these markets aren't manipulated, they're not controlled, that there's no shenanigans going on. These companies didn't invest in more productive activities in the US. They didn't raise employees' wages so that they could recirculate that money in the US economy. No, they bought back their own company shares. So, as I've mentioned many times in the past, this money that is trickling down on top of the pyramid isn't coming down to the economy. It's coming down to the 0.0001% at the very top, making themselves richer and richer while that money is not flowing into the economy. They're leaving no meat on the bones for the average American. The biggest banks could have used those funds to shore up their capital to get ready for the moment when bubbles in corporate debt and commercial real estate come apart. Now, what's interesting in this article is when we look at the numbers of what these companies in the last 5 years, how much of their own shares that they bought and how much money they spent buying up their own shares in the last 5 years. Apple, over the last 5 years, has spent $247.8 billion buying up its own shares. Bank of America has spent $60.8 billion. Wells Fargo, $69 billion. JP Morgan Chase, in the last 5 years, has spent $68.9 billion buying its own shares. Alphabet, 31.7, Oracle, 74.5 billion, Citigroup, $54 billion, Microsoft, $74.5 billion, Intel, $34.4 billion. And look at this top 10 list. If you go through the article, there's many, many more companies, but this is the top 10. Most of these are banks and tech companies. What is taking place here is financial engineering. They lower the share count, and so earnings are divided by a smaller number of shares, which produces a larger earnings per share figure and a lower PE ratio, when in fact the actual profit has not changed. So I want to change gears here for a second. To the people out there that say I'm just doom and gloom, I want to tell you this. I'm just telling everyone out there the truth. I'm just reporting the facts. And I am doing the best that I can to wake my fellow Americans up so that they don't suffer any more than they have to. To the people out there that want to judge me and say this is just doom and gloom, I really hope you watched what transpired last night. I really hope you can see for yourself what's happening in Washington, what's happening to our political system. If you believe that that is no cause for concern, you are a fool. You know, months and months ago, people told me that this could never happen. And I hope that they watched what happened last night. To the people out there that said that this could never happen, I'm telling every one of you, we are in a period now in history where anything can happen. And by us sitting around, not speaking up, by not getting involved, by not waking our friends, family, and churches up, by not making a video, by not going to a protest, by not making a phone call, by doing nothing but sitting on the couch, this country will fail. And these things that you thought never could happen to your country will happen to your country, and they're happening right now. Here's some more bad news that unfortunately I'm going to report because I live in the real world. To the people that want to continue to stay in their bubbles, go right ahead. But I'm going to continue to prepare because I know what is coming. Most of you know what is coming. Existing home sales unexpectedly tumble in November. Existing home sales fell 1.7% month over month. In November, despite a huge decline in mortgage rates, existing home sales are just 2.7% higher year over year. So you got to think they're doing everything they can to prop this economy up. mortgage rates declining, and we're still not seeing this super outbreak in sales. We're not seeing the type of sales we saw back in 2005 and 6, when supposedly we have lower unemployment, we have these low rates, we have this giant economic boom. So why aren't we seeing record-breaking sales? The median sales price rose to 5.4%. Rose 5.4% from a year earlier to $271,300. 50% of U.S. workers, now mind you, prices rose 5.4% to a little bit over $271,000. But as we know, statistically, looking at the facts, 50% of American workers make under $33,000 a year. The average new car statistically is around $34,000 a year. When you add this up, 2 plus 2 is not coming to 4, okay? When half this country is making under $33,000 a year, and you look at the price of an average car, look at the price of a pickup truck today, okay? This is not adding up. When you start looking at income growth, and you start looking at the price of an automobile, you start looking at the price of housing, you look at the price of education, you look at the price at the grocery store, this fundamentally does not add up. And I don't know how much longer this can go. I don't know how people are buying cars other than with subprime loans, making payments with credit cards and doing whatever they have to do. But, you know, it's very apparent that something does not add up here. We got another bad warning here. FedEx, which I believe is a bellwether. This is the latest confirmation that something is disastrously wrong with this economy. They interviewed on Zero Hedge the CEO over at FedEx, and he said that this is a tale of two economies. The stock market is bullish, but the industrial economy does not reflect growth at all worldwide. So we're seeing transport, whether that's barge, whether that's trucking, whether that's railroad, whether that's air, shipping across the board has been descending. It's been declining. We have a trucking industry now that's in depression. Transport's at least in a recession at this point, and it just seems to be getting worse. Yesterday, FedEx reported a second fiscal quarter profit and revenue that fell below expectations as the company blamed weak global economic conditions. But yet, everyone's telling me and everyone's telling you that things have never been better. We can blame Amazon, but the problems didn't just start yesterday with FedEx. They've been going, FedEx has had problems for months and months and months and months. So for the people out there that want to blame FedEx or want to blame Amazon, this has been happening for multiple quarters now with FedEx. So yes, this whole situation with Amazon did not help FedEx, but the problems with FedEx started way before Amazon. As our friends judge us, tell us we're being paranoid, as they call us doom and gloomers, as people want to criticize and continue to judge what we truly believe in, which is the truth, I don't take much advice from people I know because I believe most of the people I know are asleep, they're in bubbles. It's very hard to have a discussion with them. And it's another reason I make these videos, to reinforce my beliefs, because my beliefs are the same as your beliefs. And I want to let everybody out there know you are not alone. There are millions of good people here in America that believe the same exact thing that you do. They're preparing accordingly. Some are able to prepare more than others, but at the end of the day, we're all doing what we can to prepare for these upcoming events. We are going to witness multiple events take place here in America. It's not going to be one. It's going to be a multitude of events taking place. It's going to be a multitude of bubbles that rock America. And this will spill over socially. What is happening in Washington is going to spill over socially. What happens in the economy here is going to spill over socially. We have a pension crisis taking place. If these pensions blow up in America, they do and will spill over socially into America. So a lot of what is starting to boil is going to spill over onto the streets of America. I read an article today with Jim Rickards. They had interviewed Jim Rickards, and to me, Jim Rickards is an economic genius. I like a lot of what he has to say. I agree with a lot of what he has to say. I'm not saying that I agree with everything he has to say, but most of the things he says, I agree with. He's spot on. He's brilliant. He's super intelligent and very awake. I'm going to paraphrase through some of these things he says. He says here that global debt levels, current global debt levels, are simply unsustainable. Debt is being incurred just to keep pace with existing requirements in the form of benefits, interest, and discretionary spending. It's not just being used for projects with long-term positive returns such as interstate highways, bridges, and tunnels. We are improving teacher pensions, but not improving educational outcomes. So the schools can fall apart, but as long as the teacher has that pension, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year, that's all that matters. We have a catastrophic debt crisis worse than 2008 waiting to happen. If rates move just a little, it will cause debt levels and deficits to explode as new borrowing is sought just to cover interest payments. This sounds like the typical average American today. So the government is now committing the same behavior as the average dumbed down American. And this is why this is all going to implode, because of decades and decades of carelessness and recklessness and living off of a credit card. Spending money we don't have, more money going out than coming in. This will implode the US government, the economy, the stock market, and millions upon millions of households here in America. The world is on the knife's edge of a debt crisis not seen since the 1930s, and it won't take much to trigger the crisis. Stocks are in bubble territory based on weak earnings, propped up by expected good news on trade. Once the good news is priced in, there's nothing left but bad news. And we're at that point right now. I'm going to leave it right here. Ladies and gentlemen, you can listen to your friends and your family members and your associates who probably have no net worth, who have massive amounts of debt, who are living paycheck to paycheck, people who have entrusted the system, the banks, the politicians, or you can trust your gut. You can listen to Jim Rickards. You can listen to people like Peter Schiff. You can use your own two eyes and your own two ears. Listen and take a look at what's going on in your country right now. Take a look at your bank account. Take a look at what you're paying in taxes. Take a look at what you're paying at the grocery store. Take a look at your wages. Are they keeping up with the cost of living? Government tells you inflation's around 2%. We believe it's 8 to 10%. So what do you believe? Do you think it's 2% a year, or do you really think it's about 10% a year? Do you think unemployment is at all-time 50, 60-year lows? Do you believe the economy is stronger than it's ever been? Do you think the consumer is really stronger than he or she has ever been? Knowing that they need a credit card now just to pay for necessities. When you look at household debt exploding, do you really think things are really that good? I think most people who can think for themselves, who still have a functioning brain, know better. And I think that that's most of you people watching this video today. I think most of you know something is very, very wrong. Most of you know this debt can never be paid back. Most of you know that your paychecks are not keeping up with the cost of living. You know inflation is running out of control. Just look at the price of housing, rents, education, automobiles, food. You and I both know that inflation is running out of control. We see hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars being injected into the repo market. $60 billion of T-bills now being bought by the Fed every month. The Fed now in bed with the stock market, keeping it propped up. Do you really believe this is going to end well? Most of you know what's coming. That's why most of you are prepared. And that's why most of you will continue to prepare until we no longer have time to prepare. I'm going to leave it right here today. I hope everybody has a phenomenal week. Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure you share it with everyone you know. Share it, blast it all over social media. Give it a thumbs up. Like this video. Hit that bell notification so you are notified with the newest videos. And make sure that you are praying for this country. This country's got big trouble and things are about to get much worse and millions of people are going to suffer. Make sure that you're preparing daily, mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially the best that you can. You owe it to yourself and you owe it to your family.